The 7th of October.
The largest and deadliest escalation of violence in decades.
The last 100 days have seen the long-running conflict in the Middle East erupt in a horrific frenzy of violence.
The United States stands with Israel against this terrorism.
300 people were killed after a strike on a hospital in central Gaza.
The intensity of the war has been matched by the level of bitterness and vitriol here at home.
American Jews have rallied across the US in support of Palestine.
Wake up, guys!
Israel is rocked by widespread protests.
October the 7th was a setup.
Would you keep Hamas in power?
It's not up to you.
What's your opinion?
You are a racist. Please shut up.
People don't know who to trust, which facts to believe, and the only thing that everyone agrees on is they have no faith in the mainstream media.
We are coming away from this mainstream media.
Completely twist the facts.
That's why I'm here in the heart of London to attend a massive pro-Palestine protest, speak directly to the people involved, and show you what's actually happening on the ground. So here we are, third video that we're doing from the protest. Today is supposed to be absolutely giant. So we will see, this is of course London Bridge, an iconic place here in the central London. You can see Tower Bridge over there behind us. And we're heading to the protest, which is going to start at Bank, just ahead of us up there. And we will see how big it is and what's going on. Of course, we'll talk to people and find out why they're here and what they're up to. Thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries, take care.
All right. This is obviously day 2 of the US and the UK bombing the Houthi militias who've been attacking commercial vessels in the Red Sea. And this is a front page of the Socialist Worker. In the top right there, it says, West threatens to ignite a wider war in the Middle East. The United States and Britain are targeting the Yemeni Houthi militia, which is a sign that imperialism is entering an even more vicious phase. So there you go. This was £1.
Freedom for Palestine. Hey, do you want to sign? Brilliant, thank you so much. Come sign if you agree. Palestine must be free. Say no to Israeli apartheid. Say no to genocide.
What brings you here today?
The genocide in Gaza of the Palestinian people.
What does your sign say?
It says, well, my friend did this, so it's only Israel can genocide.
Israel, it says, right?
Israel, that was...
why do you call it Israel?
I didn't make this placard, actually, but someone just handed it to me. But I've heard it used before. That.
Yeah, and I hear people saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Do you subscribe to that view?
Yeah, kind of, with free... where everyone could be free in that land, sort of together. So,
and how would that happen?
Where everyone could live as equals. So ending apartheid.
And how would that come about? What needs to happen, do you think, in your opinion, for that to happen?
I think people realising that everyone's equal. So I would be here if this was happening to Israelis. I'd feel exactly the same if Israelis were being genocided, for example.
And what did you think of what happened on October 7th? How does that play into all this?
Yeah, I think it's possibly a false flag event. It's possibly, I think there's clear evidence that Israel is partly responsible for the formation of Hamas. And I think there was clear evidence that Israel had been warned that this attack was coming.
Sorry, can you just turn your banner on? I want to take a picture. Great, sadly.
So you think Israel is responsible?
At least they knew it was coming. This attack was coming because Egypt had been warning, the intelligence. There had been something like 7 hours before Israel responded.
1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terrorist state.
You gave me this, and it shows some interesting things that I hadn't heard before. About what the Prophet Muhammad said about equality and about women and so on. And I was interested in particularly the last one about terrorism, and it says that terrorism in the Quran, killing of innocent is compared to killing the whole world, all of mankind. Can you tell us more about that?
So in essence, Islam does not allow the killing of innocents under any circumstances. In battlefield, in Surah 9 verse 5, often misquoted by Islamophobes, to somehow stipulate that Islam allows the killing of innocents when it doesn't. It's only when you are in a battlefield and your enemy is coming to you, then in self-defense you have to fight back, which is a given in any form of...
Yeah, well, in war you would accept that, of course. October 7th, was that a terrorist attack in your opinion?
So October 7th, these are many responses given to that. I mean, we have to go back to 1917, 1948, 1967. Yeah. The intricate involvement of the historical events which have led up to these these events that have occurred. So it's just a frustration on overboiling.
But you said it's forbidden to kill innocents.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, it's forbidden to kill innocents.
But they did, right?
Well, that is what an understanding is given. There are different understandings. There is.
Oh, really? Well, what's your understanding?
Well, there's different from other sources that I've read. Some people are of the opinion that factions of Hamas are in with the Israelis, giving them the pretext to do their acts. Others.
Well, I'm just giving you a thing. You're giving your view. I'm giving my view.
Well, let him finish and I'll talk to you. Yes. No, stick around. I want to talk to you as well.
Yeah. Okay. So So on that basis, others take the view that it's just reacting to already being aware that, for example, there are natural gas reserves in Gaza, which Israel has become aware of, and through that Red Sea area where trade is taking place, where the Houthis are currently stopping certain shipments going through.
What do you believe? I'm just curious because
I'm just stating from what you hear. I'm not there, am I? So I can't say for certain what exactly has happened.
But you're not there in Gaza either, but you're saying the genocide is happening, right?
But that's very clear for all of us to see. The actual bombings taking place and the death and destruction.
But 7th October wasn't clear.
No, that was absolutely clear as well. But we can't be certain forever as to who done these acts. You see, although Hamas can make unilateral claims, that is just based upon certain factions. There are factions within them who said we had nothing to do with it.
I'm a Hindu, non-practicing. I do support Israel on this. You've got a right to defend. I see all the channels. I listen to people. They're delusional. Unfortunately, people have a right to respond. There are only 50 million Jews in the world. There are 2 billion Muslims. What is a ratio, dude, mate? There's a lot of bullshit going on,
Very interesting point. And are you here for the protest?
I'm here for the protest to see what's going on. I've heard there's a lot of Hamas supporters here.
Who did you hear that from?
Oh, I've heard it from a lot of YouTube apostate channels. They come here, infiltrate. I want to see if it's true or not, you see. I mean, look, I'm a Hindu. A Hindu temple was attacked last week by a Muslim guy in Wembley. We're a very peaceful, successful community, far more than the Muslims, yeah? You've got Prime Minister's fucking Hindu, mate. So we don't get involved. Only people like me will get involved if I feel that we're being attacked as well. The Jews are attacked.
Do you feel that Hindus are being attacked in the UK?
We are now, because they're afraid of. They're not afraid of us. They're jealous of us, of our success. We don't have any. It's like there are 10,000 Muslims in prison. People are aware of this. Go and Google it. It's all there. Pedos, rapists, terrorists. There's only 0.4% of Hindus in prison for minor crimes like tax evasion. We're not an aggressive species unless we're pushed.
Have you been here before to these protests in the past? And what did you see? What did you experience?
Well, I've been to a couple now, and they're very well policed. But I do not see any police here. That's what worries me. Yeah. Where are the police? Can you see anybody?
No.
There's a lot of undercover ones here. Look at what's going on here. I could be one. You never know. Man, I don't watch you much, but I do follow you guys.
Why not?
I like.
What do you mean you don't watch us much? Mate, I know your channel. I don't listen to it very much.
I'll try and listen again, mate.
Yeah.
Put it on, mate.
Excuse me, mate. We work hard.
I'll distribute it to my groups.
So I just noticed the signs that you've got from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What does that mean?
Well, it's quite self-explanatory. Needs to be.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, isn't it? Because I guess what I mean is, how would that come about? What would happen to the Israelis, etc.?
I don't.
I'm trying to think of how to word it. Isn't it just as self-explanatory as the area of land? It's Palestine's land.
Yeah. So when you say Palestine, which bit do you mean?
Yeah, the Gaza Strip.
The Gaza Strip?
The West Bank.
West Bank?
Yeah.
That's it?
I don't know. Is there another
I thought it was self-explanatory. I'm getting confused now. I thought it was self-explanatory. What about either of you?
Bullshit question.
It's a bullshit question. Why? Well, tell me, why is it bullshit?
I'm not fucking getting involved in this, but it's so
like inflammatory.
Right?
No, it's it's just really inflammatory.
Asking what that sign means.
Yeah.
Is inflammatory. Why is that?
I'm not getting involved.
Okay. All right. I didn't say anything. I was just asking what it meant.
Oh.
Do you agree with the sign?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, of course.
And what does it mean to you?
Palestinians to be free, you know?
Well, it says Palestine, so I was asking them which bit of the area.
Yeah, the people that are being oppressed, for them to be free, you know?
Yeah.
Gaza, West Bank, them people to be free, yeah.
Gaza and West Bank.
Yeah, all Palestinians in general, you know, because we know that what's going on. All of them are being oppressed, so for them to be free, you know, it's nothing, you know, it's clear as day, you know?
Yeah. Well, I was just asking them which bit of the land they mean, because some people mean all of the land, including the bit where Israel is now. And that's why there's some debate about, you know, what that means.
I think the main message is Palestinians that are being oppressed, for them to be free, you know, and for everyone to live in harmony, regardless of your religion or whatever it is. Because historically speaking, we say Muslims, Jews, Christians have been living there for centuries, you know, living in good peace. But when early in recent times, all of this issue has been going on, you know. But I think it's
how long would you say this issue's been going on?
As far as I know, obviously I'm not as educated on this topic, for example, with other people, but for roughly around 75 years since I think the mandate from 45, just after World War, I think is when the issues, you know, when the British came and started cutting up lands and taking the lands of the Palestinians, I think that's when the issue started, you know.
Well, yeah, before that you had the Ottoman Empire there, which had very strong control over the area. Yeah, that makes sense.
Any attack on civilians is not justified, you know, regardless of whatever happened, you know. But I think the issue really what is the origin of this problem, you know? History has not started October 7, you know. We have to see the real origin of this was, as I said, 75 years ago. Obviously, I'm not as educated on this topic, but because what I see now is this whole issue is being portrayed as if civilization and history started from October 7th and onwards. But no, that's not the real, that's the early aspect. The whole issue is obviously, as we said, from, you know, 70, 80 years ago. And I think that contributes to what is going on today from both sides, you know, from the Palestinian side as well as the Israeli side.
All right, so we are now heading off from Bank towards Parliament, which is where the protest is supposed to be. And it's kind of loose at the moment. There is a lot of people here, but it's not jam-packed as we've seen at some other protests. We've had a few conversations with people, obviously. Very interesting takeaways. I mean, when you talk to people about what, let's say, from the river to the sea means, a lot of them don't really, you know, we had one group that said it was self-explanatory, and when I asked them to explain it, it didn't really happen. The other thing I noticed straight away is the people we've talked to so far, whenever you ask them about October 7th, most of them, there are exceptions, but most of them basically intimate that they don't think that it really happened, or if it did, it was caused by Israel working with Hamas or some kind of false flag operation or whatever, which is, you know, one of the big challenges of the modern world is everyone's got their own information. Everyone has their own facts, and if everyone's got their own facts, it's very difficult to understand how you're ever going to reach some kind of mutual understanding or agreement about the way that things are. So we'll carry on speaking to people and find out what else they think. Rishi Sunak is apparently wanted for genocide, so watch out, mate, they're coming. So we're approaching St. Paul's, which is just up there, St. Paul's Cathedral, and it's starting to get busy. Still haven't seen a single police officer since we got into the main section of the protest, but we're about to get into a really busy part. Hopefully we will see more people and chat to them.
There's no nice way to say it. Fucking sort it out. Stop killing kids, basically.
Get out of fucking Gaza and leave the Palestinians alone, you bastards.
My one sentence would be, please, please, please stop bombing the little children of Gaza. It is breaking the hearts of the mothers of the world and breaking the hearts of everyone.
Fuck Israel and go suck your mum. That's what I would say first and foremost. Second and foremost, go back to your land. Palestine is not your land. The president, you are from Poland. I know this is more than one sentence, but still, just go and suck your mum.
Stop bombing. Work for peace.
Build a new workers' party, a socialist alternative to Sunak and Starmer for a socialist intifada.
Yeah.
What's a socialist intifada?
If I'm being honest with you, I just got this at the stand over there.
Oh, okay.
I don't actually know the definition of the word intifada.
Okay.
But, I mean...
Do any of you know the definition of the word intifada? Stop bombing Gaza, that makes sense. What about that one?
From the river to the sea.
Yeah. And what does that mean?
Well, it means it's to stop the Israeli occupation of Palestine.
From which river to which sea?
River Jordan.
From
the west bank of the River Jordan.
from the Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah. So does that mean that all of Israel should be, what is now Israel, should be Palestine, in your opinion?
No, I personally don't think that. I think I'm definitely not the person to talk to about this, but I know that there's multiple strategies that people have come up with, like a two-state solution or one-state solution. I think ideally I would like to see one multi-faith state that is neither Israel nor Palestine.
Walking with this protest, there's definitely a much younger demographic here than the March Against Anti-Semitism which we attended at the end of last year. That matches up well with the evidence which shows that young people are more likely to support Palestine than Israel in this conflict. Right, so those are the first two police officers we've seen so far. But then again, I have to say, doesn't seem to be any particular need for them. Everything is going very peacefully. There's nothing untoward going on.
Most are mainstream media, yes, and notably the BBC.
Okay, and what would you say is a good alternative for people to get information?
I would name a few: Middle East Eye, Democracy Now, Double Down News. They're all they're alternative media that are more impartial and more factual.
In terms of the BBC, for example, what would you say are the main things that they've got wrong about this conflict?
Completely twist the facts, twist the truth. Yeah.
Like what? Can you give us some examples?
An easy example just from yesterday, the court, the filing of the court of the genocide claim against Israel.
By South Africa.
By South Africa. BBC covers the defense by Israel, but does not actually cover the claim made by South Africa. That's just one basic example just from yesterday.
We want sanctions. In our thousands, in our millions. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
We have broken off from the main protest, which is just up ahead of us. We're here on the embankment, walking along. A few thoughts on the day so far. Very interesting contrast with the protest against anti-Semitism that we went to last year. Not a single British flag. Very interesting. Just an observation, which I thought was very interesting. The other difference is there's lots of chanting. I complained about it at the protest against anti-Semitism. Not enough of that going on. Here, there's almost, you have to say, too much of that going on. It's interesting being part of it or being in it because it gets you into this group tribal state, the chanting, the singing, and it's a very powerful tool, which I'm sure has been used for thousands of years, to get people to kind of feel part of a group and suspend their own identity within it, to be chanting and repeating things that, as we've seen in conversation, a lot of people don't really know what it is that they mean or haven't really thought very carefully about them, but it gives them a sense of belonging, it gives them a sense of group, tribal identity.
I've been to every march for Palestine, well, this round anyway. Same as everyone else, don't agree with genocide.
From speaking to protesters at the March Against Anti-Semitism, they feel that Israel was attacked, and so it's going to respond. And when you have people hiding in among buildings in densely populated areas, you are going to get a lot of civilian casualties, but it's because Israel is having to make sure there's no terrorist threat on its border. That's what they would say.
Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? I mean,
what would you say?
I would say that anybody who was engaged in genocide, that wanted to kill people, wanted to kill as many civilians as they could, would use an excuse like that. That's what I would say.
So would you say that Israel is deliberately targeting civilians?
Yes.
I have a speaker.
You have a speaker?
I have a microphone.
Yeah.
I have lots of Palestinian activist tunes, if you can call them that.
Can you give us one?
Yeah.
Go for it. Let's do it.
We see ourselves as one big family. This whole world's a family.
Yeah.
We don't care for each other. We don't have. We lose that humanistic nature, then everything's gone. Everything's lost. So we're here grieving for our brothers and sisters who are losing, who are suffering, and we're here just to show our support.
Are you Sikh? It's interesting because we met a Hindu guy here who was completely very pro-Israel, but you guys clearly on the side of the Palestinians, I'm guessing.
We're here for where there's injustice, you will find Sikhs. So where you find people who are downtrodden, it doesn't matter where they're from, what community they're from, we're for the poor, we're for all. We believe in the oneness in everybody. So we will not see any difference in anybody, but where someone is being downtrodden, with the Sikhs will stand with them.
We need a ceasefire right now, don't we?
Yeah.
So what else would I be here for?
And how will that happen? So how will the ceasefire happen? Who should do what, in your opinion?
The UK, the US, all the international powers, whoever's out there that can control this right now, we need to stop so we can communicate. We cannot communicate if we keep fighting each other. So ceasefire right now, and then we can move on from there. A ceasefire means seizing from both sides fire,
Right.
which is what we're asking for. So we're not asking for one side or the other. We're just saying stop the bombing, stop the wars.
So you're talking to both sides, is what you're saying?
Everyone, stop killing. Just stop. And then we can have a conversation about what's coming next. But right now, as we're having conversations and people are still dying, what's the point?
Yeah.
So, ceasefire.
Yeah.
That's where we need to start.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us.
Thank
Appreciate it. Cheers. Have a nice day. I was just going to ask you what a socialist intifada would look like. You don't want to talk to us. Fair enough. No one wants to tell us what a socialist intifada is. It's very annoying.
What's your name?
My name is Konstantin. What's yours?
Is it Konstantin Kisin?
Yes.
I'm quite busy at the
You're the
moment.
man. Okay, no worries.
Hi, have I seen you on GB News?
I haven't been on GB News for like a year, but you might have done, yeah.
Oh, well,
I mean, I also speak on the BBC
During the
and
COVID
IT.
wars.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was on your side. in the
Oh,
COVID
okay.
wars.
Tell us about the Workers' Party and why you're here.
We're here to show solidarity with the people of Palestine and with the people of Yemen who are just being bombed.
What brings you here today?
Is the reason why Israel, the reason why they're killing kids, and since October, how many kids has died because of Israel?
Can I ask why you all have your faces covered? I'm just curious.
No, we're just having our face covered because it's cold.
It's cold?
Yeah, it's cold.
Okay.
Shall I open it for you?
Say again?
I can open if you want.
Oh, no, I'm just asking. That's all. And have you been to these protests before?
Yeah,
Do you come regularly?
The reason why we're here is because Israel is killing and murdering kids, and we need the world to wake up. Wake up, guys!
And why do you think Israel is doing this?
Because they want land. I feel like they want land.
They want land. So I see you've got a sign there that says journalism that get paid for selling lies, and I'm guessing that's Piers Morgan, right?
Yes.
Okay. And on the right, journalism that pays the price for telling the truth. Who's that?
Wael al-Dahdouh.
And who is he?
He is the man of truth, man of bravery. He is the one who sacrificed all his family for the cause of Gaza and did not move out of Gaza, insisted to be there.
Why do you say that this is journalism that's selling lies?
It's very obvious what is going on, all the lies about what happened on the October 7th, the justification for the genocide, they're all based on lies.
When you say lies about October 7th, what do you mean?
All those allegations that we never saw any footages of decapitated children that Piers Morgan always asked about, and all those women that got gang raped. In contrast, we saw so many hostages freed. They were talking about the good treatment they had during their captivity.
Now, obviously, one of the things that we've talked a lot about in these videos in the past is the fact that the way the mainstream media is covering these issues isn't always reliable. And you see that at this protest and every other one we've covered. What publication you read or what news you watch determines what you think and what you think the facts are of any given situation. That's why we've tried to do these videos by talking to people directly and give you a picture of what's actually happening on the ground without the filter of the media choosing and picking what it is you see. Which is why we are incredibly proud to partner with Ground News for this video. Ground News is a platform that allows you to make sure that the information you're getting is balanced by showing you how every single newspaper is covering the various topics that are being discussed and gives you a sense of how the right and left wing and other publications are covering specific issues. For example, the big story in the news at the moment is the fact that South Africa has accused Israel of committing genocide. And when I go on the Ground News app on my phone, I can see that there are more than 500 sources reporting on this. And according to Ground News, I can see the breakdown. So there's 30% of the coverage is coming from the left, and the left-wing publications will tend to use phrases like Israel's propaganda, Israel lashes back, etc., while right-leaning publications will be using phrases like Israel defends itself, South Africa's hypocrisy, etc. And I can see how that is being split in the Bias Insights tab as well that will highlight the differences. My favorite feature is the blind spot, which shows you stories that are disproportionately covered either by the left or the right, and that allows you to make sure that you're not stuck in an echo chamber. So if you believe in nuanced fact-based discussion and seeing things with your own eyes as we're showing you here, then head to ground.news/trigonometry and you can get 30% of their unlimited Vantage plan access. That's ground.news/trigonometry to get 30% off the unlimited access Vantage plan. And now let's head back to the protests. To wrap up the day, we walked past Downing Street and into Parliament Square, where various figures gave speeches throughout the day, including Jeremy Corbyn. We didn't catch Jeremy's speech, but we did run into his brother Piers, who gave us some interesting thoughts on the situation.
Well, we've got two sides here. First of all, to make it clear, it's not a war, it's a genocide, and that Israel's state is a key part of the World Economic Forum. They completely work together. We want to defeat the Israeli state and destroy the World Economic Forum. Well, October the 7th was a setup arranged and agreed by the Israeli government. And a lot of the left groups, so-called, don't even talk about that, which is pathetic. It was organised by the Israeli government. The IDF itself killed its own people in order to make it look like Hamas had killed people.
I strongly believe that we are coming away from this mainstream media, the BBC, the CNN. You've got all of these who don't actually bring out the true definition of what is journalism, and I think it's a disgrace at what I've been seeing so far. And as soon as a person comes on, the first thing they do is say, do you condemn Hamas? And it's absolutely ridiculous. Do I condemn Hamas? I don't condemn Hamas because I feel that they're resistance fighters, and I feel now, that they're not using the Gazans as human shields that Israel is putting down it as. They are genuinely sitting and fighting for resistance.
Thoughts on the day, I shared some of them with you before. I think there's a very interesting difference demographically here in all sorts of ways to the other protests we've seen. But also it's interesting, I mean, people are saying that there's 500,000 people here. It didn't look like that to me at all. In Parliament Square itself, actually, there were fewer people than there were for the march against anti-Semitism from what I could see. So I reckon it's probably more like 100,000, which is what we saw at that march as well. It seemed more an accurate figure to me. The average age being much lower here, there is a hell of a lot of young people, and as you've seen in the video, not all of them, being diplomatic, have thought carefully about why they're here. They pick up signs that say Socialist Intifada, don't really know what that means. You know, the overall vibe, a lot of the people that we spoke to here just seem to be people who are very compassionate, who have a lot of empathy for people who they think are oppressed. And to them, I remember particularly one guy who said something which I think really sums it up, which is, it's not an even fight or something along those lines, right? One side is so much stronger than the other, which is a very interesting way to look at it, because if you have a war, you know, as a party to a conflict, you would want to be a lot stronger than the other party. And the fact that Hamas provoked this and is now being destroyed as a result with a lot of civilian casualties. Seems to me like that's something that you would put on them, as opposed to saying, well, one side is stronger, they should hold back. But anyway, so that's another takeaway from here. I think there are a lot of young people here who, as I say, I don't think all of them have thought as carefully about this issue as you might hope. So in terms of the policing of this protest, I have to say, I don't know, I haven't looked on my social media today. We did not see any anti-Semitic placards. You know, from the river to the sea is a separate conversation. But apart from that, didn't see anything hateful really going on, didn't see anybody saying anything hateful. There was no violence, there was no destruction of property. Yeah, some people climbing on traffic lights and stuff like that, but really this was completely peaceful and I didn't really see any issue with it. That said, there were literally almost no police here at all. There was a lot fewer police here than there were at the Just Stop All protest, which, as you saw in our last video, there was about 50 protesters, and there was probably more police than protesters. But then again, they weren't necessary. You know, like I say, this was entirely peaceful. So, from a policing perspective, I didn't see anything out of order today. How have the media covered this? It's very hard to say because there's, as we've been talking about throughout the video, there's all sorts of different media organizations and platforms who all have their own view of this issue. I am a big critic of the way that the BBC has gone, but not so much because of necessarily the way they've covered certain issues, but particularly when it comes to their hiring and staffing policies, the type of comedy they make. Their news broadcasts make mistakes, but what I've saw today, and also at other protests we've seen, is the BBC are in a very difficult position where it's sort of everyone wants to take a shot at them, and there's a lot of shots to be taken, but actually it's hard to keep everybody happy because you have a very polarized society which has a lot of different views of the same issues, not least because everyone now has their own facts, as we've talked about. I think social media is making it more difficult for everybody to get accurate information. It's also making it easier, but also more difficult at the same time. And the way it makes it more difficult is if you judge this protest that we just attended based on the social media coverage of it, I very much doubt you would get an accurate picture of it, as we're about to be arrested.
Onto the pavement now.
There's somebody who's a bit of a job's worth, getting excited. So I think social media is giving people an inaccurate picture of things because it rewards the most extreme things. And I'm really pleased to be doing these videos because what we're trying to do is to show you the reality on the ground, as opposed to, hey, here's a terrible thing that happened, grab your attention, and that's just all that happens. I think it's really important in this moment in particular for people to be responsible with the way that they're covering things. So we've shown you exactly what has been happening here. We haven't sought out people who are more extreme than others. We've literally tried to talk to a whole range of people and get their take on it and show you the way that this protest actually went down. I think the right to protest is very important. However, having attended a bunch of these protests, I think that I am much more cynical and skeptical about the potential for these protests to actually achieve anything constructive. That may be down to the types of protests we've attended, because a lot of them, they don't have any concrete demands. I think these protests, more than anything, are a way to let people vent about the things that they're not happy about, which is good, because when people are not allowed to vent, then that anger can build and take more violent form. So I think it's important that people are able to come and voice their opinion. Do I think that's actually going to make any impact on what happens in the real world? No, I don't. Thanks for giving us your time and watching this video. It is people like you who make it possible for us to do this kind of journalism that you saw today. And make sure before you go, speaking of journalism, check out Ground News so that you get a balanced perspective on all the issues that are going on in the world. Smash that like button, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you soon.